Hi, my name is Amber and this is my March wrap-up. If I'm counting correctly, I read about 7 books I think this month. 4 were physical books and the rest were all on my Kindle. So of course I will start with the physical books first. I don't know why, that's just what I do. Now if you watch some of my past videos, you know that I have a problem with collecting Kiersten White's books. I had only read Illusions of Fate, but some reason I still decided to collect every book she comes out with. I'm missing a few still, but I just figured that now was the time to try and get through a few of them. So I decided to pick up the 2 shortest that I had. The first one was Mind Games by Kiersten White. This is part of a duology and I kind of wish I had the second one because I could have easily gotten through that this month, but it is very hard to find. This is a story about 2 sisters who are twins. This is a world filled with kind of people with abilities, people who have psychic abilities in some ways, who can read minds or who can feel emotions. I definitely did read it fast. This is a very, very short book. It is a very fast read. While I did enjoy it, there were some things that were kind of missing for me. I didn't really care for the characters as much, especially not the main character, one of the sisters. It's not that I didn't like her as a character, I just didn't feel anything towards them. I didn't really care as much. I am still interested to see what's going to happen next. I'm still going to pick up the next one. I still enjoyed this and it was definitely a fun read. So I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I decided to pick up The Chaos of Stars by Kiersten White. Now this is also a very short book. Now this is a standalone. This is a story about Isadora and her family are all Egyptian gods. Her mother kind of sensed that something bad is going to happen and they decided to send Isadora away to live in the US for a little while and hopefully stay safe. This is definitely a cute fluff read. While there is some action parts and some danger into it, it's definitely just a romance story and a family story and it was really, really cute. While in the beginning I had a hard time really enjoying things, it was very confusing for me. Once she got sent off to the US and things really started picking up in the story is when I really started to enjoy this and I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I ended up picking up this month was These Vicious Masks. I'm gonna try to say the author's names, but I'm most likely going to mess it up. This is by Taryn Shanker and Kelly Zekis. This is described as Jane Austen meets X-Men and I honestly really think that works well. This is set in kind of the Jane Austen era. Our main character realizes that she has this ability. There are more people in this world who also have crazy abilities as well. Evelyn's sister Rose goes missing one day and Evelyn decides to take it upon herself to go find her. I don't want to say much because I really think this is a good book to just know Jane Austen meets X-Men. Why would you not want to pick that up? This was so much fun. It definitely had its crazy dark moments for me that I was just not expecting. I'm so excited to pick up the sequel to this. It was an insane read, but I loved it so much. I definitely gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I decided to pick up Vasa in the Night by Sarah Porter. If you notice a theme, I went with some of the shorter books that were on my shelf in the beginning of the month because I wanted to try and get through a few of the short ones, and this one was definitely one of the short ones that I decided to get to. This is supposed to be based on Russian folklore, and it's very confusing. There's magic in this world, and there's messed up families, and the style sort of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. I don't want that to be a full comparison, but I just mean that the weird absurdness that is Alice in Wonderland is kind of what this felt like, but in a bad way. I love Alice in Wonderland. I think the weird absurdity of it is fantastic. So when this started out with kind of that feeling to it, I had hope that this would just be a really weird read, but it would still be enjoyable. I read about half of it and then listened to the other half with an audiobook, which I'm not good with audiobooks anyways, but it was the only way I could kind of force myself to finish this book. I had such a hard time continuing. I was just bored and confused. There were just so many things that I didn't really like about the story. I ended up giving this 2 out of 5 stars. My next 3 books were all the books that I read on my Kindle. The first one was Melodies Key by Dallas Coryell. I was actually contacted by the author to review his book. It seemed like such a cute read that I decided to just jump on it and check it out because it looked adorable. Our main character, Tegan's dreams are completely thrown out the window and destroyed. She ends up having to stay with her family instead of going off and fulfilling her own dreams to help them out with their family business with Lockwood Manor, which is a kind of getaway place. One day the famous singer Mason decides to use the manor as kind of a getaway and a rehab from life, and he's a super popular, supposed to be horrible jerk of a guy, and at first him and Tegan tend to butt heads, but then things seem to change. While I did have some problems with it, overall I just thought it was really fun, fast, cute read. There were definitely moments that had me giggling from something they were saying, and it was just really sweet and adorable. So overall overall I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I picked up Shadowrun by Adrienne Strickland and Michael Miller. I received this as an e-arc through NetGalley. This is described as Firefly meets Dune, and while I have read nothing of Dune, I am a super fan of Firefly and I love it so much, so that definitely piqued my interest in wanting to pick this up. It is extremely similar to Firefly, so I think if you love the show, you'll really enjoy this because everything will remind you of Firefly. It is a story filled with captains and princes and powers and space travel and just political craziness. It is so insane and fun and crazy, and there's definitely some seriously dark things. This is one of my favorite reads this month. I enjoyed this so much. It was just incredible, and I definitely easily gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The last book that I picked up this month was Blood Rose Rebellion by Rosalind Eves. This is another one that I got an e-arc from NetGalley. This cover had been around forever. I had seen arcs of it all over the place, and everyone seemed to be talking about it and how incredible it was. This is another story filled with characters with powers in a world where the rich have the most power and they kind of control the magic, and all commoners are supposed to not have magic. Our main character, while being born into a rich family, has no abilities. The entire concept seemed really interesting to me, and while the first half, maybe less than half, was enjoyable, overall it just got really boring and I was just so incredibly disappointed with it. I had to really force myself to finish reading it, and I hate when I have to do that. This was definitely one that I expected a lot more from, and maybe it was just overly hyped in my head, but there were just so many things that I didn't really care for, and I definitely did not really care for any of the characters, so I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars. So those are all the books that I read in the month of March. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below your favorite read of the month, and I'll see you guys next time.